JMA has been one of the most consistently performing LMAs in the last few years, and the fact that it has won three consecutive Best LMA awards bears testimony to JMA's outstanding contribution to enhancing management capabilities in the region.
मेरा ये कहना है कि सैंपल वैलिडेशन के ही नाम पर एसआर पे 500 नंबर ले आकर रख देते ना उनके नाम देखो
Ashmita, I can't hear you.
Hi, am I audible now?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I had to rejoin quickly. So, good evening, everyone, and welcome for this EDGE webinar. Today's topic that we have with Professor Archie D'Souza is supply chain and logistics management. So, thank you all for joining in. And on behalf of Jamshedpur Management Association, I would like to extend a warm gratitude towards all of you. So I would like to start with a brief introduction of Professor Archie. He's a teacher. He's a teacher and trainer with over 3 decades of corporate training and academic experience, mainly in the field of transportation, logistics, and project supply chain management, being involved with several state and central government skill development schemes. Big contributor to the logistics sector skill council of the National Skill Development Corporation in enhancing skills of students, teachers, trainers, and corporate executives. He has over 43 years of experience, most of it in being logistics solutions to all type of companies. He has held chief operations officer in corporate life and been a dean in academics. Welcome, Professor Archie. I would like to hand over the session to you now. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And before I start with the session, I would like to thank the Jamshedpur Management Association and the Tenora Group, plus especially Mr. Sitaraman for introducing me to this, which I just came to know as the best management association in India. Well, I'm really glad to be in this August gathering. So let me start with what I have to say. So yes, can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
It's visible.
Okay. The problem with the Google Teams is that I'm not able to, once I put my presentation on, I'm not able to see the audience. So, anyway, I've been asked to talk about a subject which is very dear to me, and something I've been involved in right from the year 1978, when I joined the cargo division of Air India then. I started my academic journey in the year 1989, and the years 89 right up to 2015, it was both academics and corporate life together. From 2015, I've been mainly teaching and training, and also writing, and contributing to whoever needs knowledge of logistics and supply chain management. We are living in a scenario today which is extremely interesting, and somehow when we think of transportation, when we think of logistics, when we think of movement of goods, when we think of procurement, we think of a very, very fast-paced life that we are living in. At the click of a mouse today, you can order for goods, make payments, and await the receipt of goods, which is something fantastic and something which I, in my early days of corporate life, never thought would happen. Now, I'm going to move you towards how we've reached here and why technology is so important in this day and age, where without which there can be absolutely no customer satisfaction. First of all, can anybody in the audience tell me where this term logistics originated from? Are you people allowed to unmute?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So
Can ask
anyone can
question.
tell me where the term logistics originated from? Okay, since
Maybe
I'm
in
not
stone ages, when human beings were storing their food item or something, maybe as early as stone ages.
well, I'm talking of the word in the vocabulary. Yes, from the time we started producing more than what we could consume, logistics had already started. I agree with you, but I'm talking of the term logistics itself, not not necessarily in English. In fact, I say not in English. Where did this word come from? Okay, if you look up the Arthashastra, there is a very detailed description of what today are logistics functions. And that makes it very interesting because uh, our forefathers, our forebears, were actually trading more than 2,500, 2,600 years ago. They were trading with what is today America. Our people knew how to navigate the seas. Our people could look at the sky and knew exactly which direction to go in. They knew which direction the wind would be in at a given time and take full advantage of it and travel long distances. Uh, in modern days, the term has originated in the French army, and it it was brought into industry only in the 1980s. Uh, Before the 1980s, I would say the mid 80s, the term logistics was not used in industry. You had various divisions, you had transportation. We'll come to that a little later, uh, where which all encompassed one big area called logistics, which uh, later on all got merged into an area which we call logistics. And then when we brought in information technology into the picture, we called it supply chain management. Uh, we went through days which were slow. And I'm not talking of long back, where before the invention of the steamship. Let's go 50 years ago. Speed was not what it is today. Movement, transportation was never as easy as it is today, as we can see. And in the 21st century, good management of international logistics has become a strategic advantage. And we've come up with various tools which have helped us, various information technology tools, which have helped us make this so much better. Just as I am today speaking to an audience from a very remote location, I'm here sitting in Bangalore. Most of the audience are in Jamshedpur. There are a few people from other parts of India also, like Chennai and Mumbai. I've sent invitations to my contacts across the world. And one of my students who's currently in Toronto has promised that she would be joining. So we've reached that stage where uh, communications has become quick, movements have become quick, and the information has also become very quick. Uh, Now, in the early days, which goes back 3,000 years ago, we had the old Silk Road. We had sea routes, which, as I said, our people could navigate. The British came into the picture very, very late, only something around 13 or 1400 years in the current era. However, the British did rule a major part of the world for a couple of 100 years. They ruled us for 200 years. They've ruled other parts of the world for longer than that. And they brought in with them their draconian laws, which didn't allow anyone else to do business. And of course, again, those were the slow days. Speed was never in the picture here. So, but it's very interesting. The year 1969, an inventor by the name of Malcolm McLean, he invented the shipping container. This came quite late into the scene, 1969. I always tell my students, I said 1969 may seem a few decades ago, but when it comes to the history of transportation and the history of shipping, which is a few thousand years old, 1969 is very, very recent. Along with the shipping container, there was one very important invention also in the year 1969. That was the invention of the Boeing 747, or the jumbo jet as it's called. When the Boeing 747 was introduced, it was a plane which was 2.5 times the size of the biggest plane that was flying before that. Now, with extra passenger capacity also came extra cargo capacity. And all of a sudden, a new type of product was born, which was air freight. It did exist before the introduction of the Boeing 747, but it brought down prices of freight to such an extent that a lot of commodities which were at one time either not traded or being traded only by sea could now be traded by air. Now this saw a great revolution in logistics and in manufacturing. Garments, if you look at the top garment brands in the world, many of them are made in countries like India, Bangladesh, the Philippines, and so on. In my corporate days, I've handled exports for a number of garment buying houses, and most of these ready-made garments are transported by air. Why? Because air freight rates have become so low that companies are actually able to afford to send these products by air. Now, air movements have led to the reduction in inventory levels, and this brought in what is often termed as zero inventory, or just-in-time manufacturing. Today, manufacturing companies do not store and hold large quantities of inventory for the simple reason that transportation is very quick, communications are quick, and they are able to bring down uh, inventory levels to almost close to zero. The trend started in the 1980s, and a lot of companies and a range of industries have actually adopted what is called JIT. Now, this would not be possible without some very interesting uh, information technology tools like MRP, MRP2, and DRP. I'll just take a very brief look at what these are. Now, I don't need to actually tell this August gathering what JIT is, but one needs to appreciate the fact that companies like Toyota and Suzuki have brought down inventory levels to such an extent that they're able to sell their cars at rates which are much, much less. I mean, the price of a car which comes out from one of the Japanese manufacturing companies is much less than what the Americans can manufacture it for. This could be possibly a reason why Japan was able to overtake the United States when it came to the automobile industry. Of course, today the number one automobile company in the world is no longer Toyota. It's Volkswagen who have overtaken Toyota. Again, not an American company, it's a German company. Basically, the goal of JIT is to reduce or eliminate the need for inventory. India is aspiring to be a hub for several high-end technical products which are made across the world. A lot of them made in China. A lot of us don't appreciate the fact that we are already the hub for high-end electronic products. We have a place called Whitefield in the city of Bangalore, where I reside. And in Whitefield, the company General Electric has a very huge plant. It's got a subsidiary in India called General Electric, or rather GE Medical Systems. And GE Medical Systems manufactures high-end MRI scanners, magnetic resonance imaging scanners. This is a machine which requires very, very high-end technology. And it's made in India. Okay. The technology is American. The company is American, but their plant is in India. And it supplies these X-ray machines. These are very, very accurate X-rays, which can pinpoint a tiny cyst or a tumor in any part of the body within a matter of seconds. Another company that I refer to often in my case studies is a company called Tyco Electronics, another American company. Now, Tyco supplies high-end components to the electronics industry. Again, they have a huge facility in Bangalore, and I know it because I was handling their exports from their Bangalore facility. They supply these components to almost every country in the world. Because my company handled the exports, I became a very good friend of a gentleman called Mr. Sanjay Handu, who was heading the logistics division of Tyco. And we used to exchange information. I used to call him sometimes to our office where he'd deliver a small address to my staff. And sometimes I'd go to his office and, uh, brief his staff about how this whole thing of the logistics operations work. Now, what Sanjay Handu used to tell my staff is, today, quality of a product is something we take for granted. When we pick up a product for the price, we always go in for the best quality available. Technology can be purchased. So you can make anything anywhere in the world if you have the money to purchase the technology, or somebody is willing to invest in setting up a plant in your country. What is important is delivery, and delivery depends on logistics. Now, in the modern fields like the manufacture of smartphones and computers, this becomes very important. Very recently, we came up with a situation where the world saw a very, very big shortage of chips, microchips. I've written on this in a book to which I've contributed a chapter. And I've blogged a lot on this. Microchips are the new oil. They all say information is the new oil. I say sorry, it isn't information, it is semiconductors. And why do I say it is semiconductors? Because semiconductors or microchips are where the information is stored. And the shortage of microchips led to disruptions which we couldn't believe. I never at once imagined that a shortage of microchips would affect the automobile industry. But yes, this did happen. It reminded me of a very interesting lesson in logistics that I learned from my mother. Ages ago, perhaps most of the audience may not have been born then. Those days, our kitchens used to work on kerosene stoves. We had no gas then. And kerosene was always needed. So one day, the kerosene level in the kitchen was very low. So my mother gave me money and she said, please go and buy 5 liters of kerosene and come home. Now, before I tell you my adventure, what happened after I left the house, there was a lesson I learned from my mother, where she said, for anything that you require at home, see that there are at least 3 shops that we can go to, whether it's notebooks, whether it's notebooks and stationery, whether it's, things like dal chawal, whatever it is, whatever is required in the house, she didn't use the word vendors, but she said have 3 suppliers, 3 vendors. Okay, I went out. The first shop that I went to, we had these 3 vendors. The first shop that I went to did not have stock of kerosene, neither did the second shop. I could only get kerosene in the third shop, which I went to. And then when I came home, my mother was worried. She said, so long it took you. And then I told her, I said, you were the one who said that we should have 3 vendors. I didn't, again, three shops, 3 alternative shops from where to buy from. And I didn't get it in the first 2, I got it in the third one. That is why it took so long. A day after I brought this kerosene home, there was a war between India and Pakistan. And for almost 2 months, there was no kerosene available in the market. Today, almost every major manufacturer follows what is called a 3-vendor policy. For whatever product they have, they insist that whatever product that they need to purchase, whether it's a raw material or a component, they insist that there are 3 vendors who will supply that product or service. I'll name some companies. ABB is one. Tyco Electronics is another. These are companies which have this 3-vendor policy. That is why, as a freight forwarder, I was always competing with 2 other companies whenever I had to do business with these. Now, if those using microchips in their manufacturing had to look at 3 sources for their microchips, the disruptions wouldn't have been what they are. Okay, so this is a lesson I learned, as I said, from my mother. Today, we have advanced computer-based tools. Okay, it's too short a time given to me for me to go into the details of this. So what I've done is I've just told you what it is and what they do. So we have materials requirement planning and manufacturing resources planning. Since both of them have the same initials, MRP, manufacturing resources planning has been termed as MRP2. Now, these are tools that allow manufacturing firms to determine what to produce or order from suppliers and in which quantity, in function of their sales product forecasts and pending customer orders. After all, what is it that drives production? It's consumption, it's demand. Based on the demand for a product, a company produces it. Obviously, this means that there should be coordination between marketing, production, and logistics. Okay. Distribution resource planning is a tool that allows a retail firm to determine what to order from its suppliers. You know, the retail industry is an industry which faces tremendous amount of challenges. You know, you have retailers from the very tiny who operate in corners of buildings to huge hyper and supermarket chains. And as far as all these retailers are concerned, when a customer goes to visit one of these shops, the product that the customer wants should be available. Otherwise, that retailer has lost business for that particular day till fresh stocks come. You know, till very recently, what used to happen is, let's say you went to a medical store and he ordered for a particular tablet or syrup. And generally it would be the owner of the medical store who would be sitting there. So he would look and find out, after opening the box in which those particular tablets are kept, he'd find out that, oh, this is over. So the moment he realizes it's over, he writes an entry, makes an entry into a diary which is always there on his table. So he'll say, okay, Dolo, and something he would write and then order for that particular product, which would come after a day or 2 or maybe 3 days. So for 3 days, there was no inventory of that particular pharmaceutical product in that shop, which means anyone who went to that shop would not get it. Now, pharmaceuticals are something you can't wait for 2 days or 3 days. So that person had to go to the next shop to pick up what he required. Today, the smallest of small shops have started computerizing their invoicing. You go to even a corner kirana shop and they give you a computer generated invoice. Now the beauty about this is that the invoice and the stock register are connected to each other. So the moment an invoice is prepared, the quantity shown in the stock register goes down automatically. It does not have to be done manually. And for each product, there will be a certain quantity below which they don't have to go. It's called a critical quantity. And the moment it reaches critical quantity, a green light will come on the person's computer screen, and they know that they have to order for that particular product. And today there is software which does the ordering also automatically. All the person has to click order, and the order goes electronically. This is the kind of logistics level services that technology has enabled us to get. So basically what's happened today is international logistics management has become a strategic advantage for the firms or companies that are capable of doing the following: containing the cost of shipping. Remember, fuel prices have been going up higher and higher. If you look at what the price of petrol and diesel were 50 years ago and compare it with what they are today, there's a huge difference. Now that is one thing. The second thing is providing visibility, knowing in real time where your consignment is, where your package that you've ordered for is at a given time. Your goods need to be secure while they are in transit. Remember, out there is a mafia who know exactly what is stored in which container. And they're able to gain access to it, keeping all the seals and locks intact. Security people have to become smarter than that. Today, there are security cameras all around, so to a great extent, pilferage has been reduced because of it. Now, The governments have come up with laws which regulate the import and export systems and procedures. Now, as a person in logistics, you need to ensure that you're complying not only with the law of your own country, you're also complying with the law of the country which is importing the goods from you. One of the areas that is very important here is packaging. Now, there are parts of the world, Germany for instance, where certain types of plastics are banned. And any plastic which is used in packing materials that comes into Germany, it must either be sent back or recycled. The same thing with wooden packages. Then traceability of the origin of goods. We are entering into more and more free trade agreements across the world. India and Thailand have an agreement on a free movement of certain. There is a list of items which India can import from Thailand free of duty, and Thailand can import from India for which they don't charge duty. One of these is automobile products. Now, India has a similar agreement with Germany where Germany buys automobile products from India, where the duty on those, I'm talking automobile parts, sorry. The duty on those products is at a very, very low level, which is not available to countries which don't have this kind of a bilateral agreement with Germany. Now, India has an agreement with Thailand. India has an agreement with Germany, but Germany doesn't have a similar agreement with Thailand. So a very smart trader, what he would do is import from Thailand and then re-export to Germany. So the import into India would be duty-free. The import into Germany would be duty-free, assuming the product in Thailand would cost less than a similar product in India. Well, there is something called a certificate of origin, which shows, this is a certificate which is issued in the exporting country, which shows where the goods have originated from. And the importer in that country requires it to avail of concessional duties. So taking this route, importing from Thailand and exporting to Germany will not work because of the need for a certificate of origin. This is something that is going to make revolutionary changes as far as logistics and supply chain management are concerned. What are called distributed ledgers. Now, one of the biggest complaints that purchasers of logistics services had was the fact that processes were absolutely opaque. There was no visible supply chain. Your movement goes through a number of stages. Once the goods are manufactured, you need to make a booking with an airline or a shipping line to move those goods from an airport or port of origin to the airport or port of destination. Before the shipping line or airline could actually accept your cargo, the cargo has to be customs cleared. Before the cargo is customs cleared, goods have to be packed for exports. Certain documents are required, which the exporter has to make ready. And certain processes have to be gone through to get the cargo customs cleared. Shipping companies and airlines don't offer these services. So you need to use the services of a freight forwarding company for this purpose. So you have multiplicity of players where before the goods are even handed over to a shipping line or an airline. Similarly, at the destination, the same thing. Before the airline actually hands over these goods to the importer, a whole lot of procedures have to be gone through, and there are a whole lot of payments involved at every stage. There is a trucker who picks up the cargo from the exporter's premises. That trucker has to be paid. The terminal charges at origin and destination have to be paid. Other charges involving handling and so on, all these charges need to be paid. Now, one of the biggest laments that the trading community has is that these charges are not transparent. And very often, they're shocked. They're suddenly told that yes, to get delivery of a particular consignment, they have to pay some freight forwarder at the destination a certain amount of money. And only after that a delivery order will be obtained. And without that delivery order, they can't take possession of their cargo. Now, blockchain technology, which was started with the creation of the Bitcoin, is a technology that can revolutionize these processes. It's a fantastic invention. Now, if you look at record keeping today, and I'm not talking of, the old type paper ledgers, I'm talking of computerized record keeping. Look at the number of players in a single shipment before goods go from exporter to importer. At both ends, there is a domestic carrier. There are two banks. There is a freight forwarder and a customs broker. There is an insurance company, and there is a shipping line or an airline, which is the international carrier. And all this needs to be recorded. Once you bring in blockchain technology, which is what is termed as a distributed ledger of record keeping, things change where every party to a transaction gets to see what the transaction is. From the day I came to know about this technology, I was personally very fascinated with it. And I told myself, I said, this is a technology that could work wonders in the field of logistics. I'm not the first one to say it, but several other experts have also said it. And I was so fascinated that me and another colleague of mine, Suresh Iyer, who's actually the promoter of the Tenora group, we got together and we wrote this book. Okay, it's called Simplifying Blockchain Complexities. It's written by me and Suresh Iyer, and it's available on Amazon. So this was, I feel that this is a technology which is going to revolutionize the way, not just the way goods are moved, but the way we do business. I have a lot more to say, but in 1 hour, there's very, very little which can be told. In fact, I could speak about blockchain technology and its applications in supply chain. I could go on for hours together, even days together. But I have, according to my clock, just 4 minutes left. It would be unfair if I don't open this for at least a few questions before they can wind the session up. Okay, so I'll stop sharing now, and
Thank you, sir. As sir mentioned, the floor is open for questions now. You can directly interact with sir or post your question in the chat box.
yeah, I don't see any questions in the chat box. So please ask. If you were my students, I would say, if you don't ask me questions, I'll ask you questions. Anyway, thank you so much, Ashmita and the entire JMA team, for making this quite memorable. I'll be addressing you again, I think on the 4th of February, if I'm not mistaken, where I'll be talking
Yes,
about
the
project.
1st of February for yes.
Yeah, and I'm today giving this. Today I'm at Bangalore. On the 4th of February, I'll be doing this from some part in Kerala, where I'll be.
Oh wow, wonderful. Okay, we have a question in the chat box, sir.
How can we connect again if for any query? You can address your queries to anybody in the Management Association, in the JMA, and I'll be glad to answer. Otherwise, they have my email ID and my phone number, and if it's okay, it can be shared here in the chat box.
Yes, definitely. Also, there is somebody raising hand. Yes, please go ahead and ask your question. Mr. Satya Prakash, yeah. Sir, okay, there is another question in the chat box. How much volume of freight is being transported through air and sea? By Satya Prakash.
Oh, I'll tell you, if you look at world trade today, it's reached a level of around $5 trillion. Almost, if you look at by way of volume, about 90% of it goes by sea, 9 point many 9 after that percent by air, and a very, very tiny percentage by surface, by rail or road. If you convert this to value, the value of goods that go by air is about 40%. I'm sorry, I don't have the figures as far as the total volumes are concerned. Normally, I share that on a slide in my screen, but I don't have that particular slide here. I'll have to go to some other presentation and then open that slide. Yeah, Asmita, you'll have to share my number with them, if that is permissible.
Yes, most definitely. I will share in just a moment.
I have not stepped foot in Jamshedpur to date. I'd like to do it one day.
You're most welcome, sir. We'll definitely love to have you here. And of course, the in-person sessions make a lot of difference. Hi, so I've shared the contact details of Archie sir in the chat box. You can get in touch with him.
And I wish
so if there are no, yeah.
I wish the Bangalore Management Association was as active as you people were, but it's not the case. There's hardly any
So we would
activity.
definitely have to do something in collaboration with Bangalore Management Association.
I was thinking of that. I was also speaking. I was in Indore 3 months back, and I met a few people in the Indore Management Association, and we had suggested the same thing to them. So, so maybe the next time we have something like this, we'll have it jointly with the Bangalore Management Association.
Yes, sir. We would love to have that. And maybe the discussion can be initiated with you, so definitely.
So my college has already in principle agreed to host any such session.
Okay.
So
definitely, sir. We'll certainly plan out something and arrange it for both the audience of Jamshedpur as well as Bangalore. And with the help of these online sessions, we can reach out anywhere.
True.
Yeah. So if there are no other questions, I think we have finished well within time. So thank you all. We had quite a good audience today. And thank you all for joining. And of course, thank you, Professor Archie D'Souza, for a wonderful session. It was very well received, I must say. And thank you, Mr. Sitaraman of Tenora, for being the chief coordinator and getting things done. And we hope to see all of you in the next session, as sir has mentioned, in project management. We will be sharing the information with all of you. I have shared a QR code in the screen. Please share your feedback on the session. And we look forward to have you in future JMA events as well. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Asmita. Okay.